Okay, so in this video, let's get our animations from the default mannequin retargeted onto our character. So if we go into mannequins and rigs, you'll see that there is this IK mannequin and also this RTG mannequin. So this is our IK retargeter, and this is our IK rig, which the retargeter uses to retarget the animations. So if we open up the RTG underscore mannequin, you'll see that the source and the target both take an IK rig. So what we need to do is make an IK rig for our knight, which will then allow us to pipe that into here, into the target, and target our animations over to that. So for example, the idle, jump, and so on. So to get started, let's go to our meshes folder again, since that's where our skeleton is. And I'm going to right click in here and do animation, retargeting, IK rig. We're going to call this IK Knight. And if we open that up, we can now slot in our preview skeleton. And basically what we're going to do here, if we go over to this IK retarget tab, we're going to essentially build an IK rig and FK chains that we can then match up with what the mannequin has. So let me actually reference what the mannequin has. So if we look at the mannequins, you can see that they have a chain called spine. This is an FK chain. It has no IK goal. They have a left arm, which has the hand L goal. A bunch of FK goal or FK chains for the fingers, right arm, etc. So you can kind of see what they're working with here. And we're going to try to do the exact same thing. So looking at their naming convention, if we name it the same, it will auto match up. So we've got spine. Let's start with our spine. The other thing that you'll notice in here is that the retarget root is set to the pelvis. So let's get started on this. First, let's right click on the pelvis and do set retarget root. That's the first thing we're going to do. And then for the spine, what we can do is find our spine 1, 2, and 3, right click and do new retarget chain. So this was called the spine, add chain. Okay, so now if we were to retarget this, we'd have our spines would match up to the one on the mannequin. I think what I'll do is do all of the FK chains first, and then we'll go and do the IK ones. So most likely their clavicle is separate. Yep, left clavicle. So let's go in here. Just a single joint like the clavicle, we can do a chain off of that. So we can call this left clavicle, like they had, and add chain. Their arm was the main arm joints. Left arm. You have your thumb. And it does a pretty good job of auto-naming these, which is pretty great, actually. Left index. The FK setup is pretty easy, but also pretty tedious and boring. Let's do this. So it's probably a good idea to do the twist joints as well, because that way any of the twist animation is going to come through. And you can see that they have left upper arm twist 01 and left lower arm twist 01. So let's go ahead and do that. Left lower arm twist 01. Add chain. And this will be left lower arm twist 02. This will be upper arm twist 01 and left upper arm twist 02. Okay, so that's it for the spine and clavicle. On the left side, let's do the right side. Right clavicle. Here's our right arm. Right thumb. And right lower arm twist 01. Okay, so for the head, they most likely just have the neck and the head, which is what we're going to do as well. So neck, head, great. We don't have to worry about the hair. And for the legs, we're going to just grab, if we look at what they did here, they have left leg, the thigh to the ball joint. So we can grab thigh, calf, foot, ball. Left leg, thigh, calf, foot, ball, right leg. Again, we also have twist joints, so let's take a look. Left thigh and left calf. Okay. Left calf twist 01. Calf twist 02. Thigh twist 02 and thigh twist 01. Same thing over here, right calf twist 01, right calf twist 02, and then the thighs. Perfect. Okay, so that's all of our FK. One thing I didn't see in here, let's see if they have it. Okay, they do have the root. So last FK chain is the root. And that should do it. All right, so for IK, what we're going to need to do is over here in the solver stack, we're going to click on add new solver, and we're going to do full body IK. You'll see that it says it's missing the root bone, so we'll again right click on the pelvis and do set root bone on selected solver. Now it's going to talk about missing goals. Let's go over again to the leg. Okay, great. So the first thing, we'll set up our IK leg goals. So I'm going to right click on the ball joint and do new IK goal. Assign goal. And let's see what they did. They actually renamed theirs to foot. So you can see ours came in as ball. That's the joint we had selected. We're going to name that foot just so everything is named the same. Make sure you still have this selected down here and go to the right ball joint and new IK goal. You can see it's asking us if we want to assign that newly created goal to the right leg chain. And let's go ahead and hit yes. Rename this to foot. And then lastly, the hands. So there we go. And left hand. Unfortunately, there's a little bit more work we got to do here because if you select one of these IK goals and you move it, you can see the way that it moves is not quite what we'd want it to do, right? So let's hit reset up here. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is grab the lower arm and right click and do add settings to selected bone. And that's going to give us this little settings node here. And at the very bottom, we can turn on use preferred angles, and I never remember which one of these it should be. So I'm going to just start typing in -90 in Z and then just test and see if it bends the right way. And it does not. So it is going to be 90. Cool. So now you can see our left hand is acting more like it should. We can add these settings to any of these joints. So you can see that there are settings here for rotational stiffness, positional stiffness, etc. So for example, if we look at what they have, we go down to the clavicle, you can see their rotational stiffness is set to 1 on the clavicle. So we could go in here and add settings to selected bone and set this to 1. Great. And on the right hand, let's go down to the right hand. So both the clavicle and lower arm, I'm going to right click and do add settings. Clavicle, we'll set it to 1 on rotational stiffness. And lower arm, check use preferred angles and set it to 90. And then just double check. And everything is looking good. Okay, so for the legs, we're going to select the thigh and the calf on the left side and add settings. Use preferred angle. Let's see if this is actually 90 or if it's -90. Nope, it is not 90. So let's go to negative. There we go. And do the same thing on the thigh. Nope. So thigh is 90, calf is -90. There we go. Great. So we can see that that's now moving the way it should. And because it's full body IK, it kind of pulls the rest of the character along. Again, thigh and calf, add settings to both of those. This is 90 on the thigh for me, and this one is negative. Actually, was it? I think I got that wrong. I think it's -90 and then 90. Let's double check. I messed up. -90. Should just look, huh? -90 and 90. So this needs to be 90. There we go. Okay. So that is that. And like I said, you can add more settings to bones. Like if we go in here, you'll see that they have on their spine, they kind of have some rotational stiffness turned up. And on their pelvis, they have rotational stiffness turned up. So you can do the same. You could add settings to the pelvis, turn up rotational stiffness, and then on the spine if you wanted to do that as well. But at this point, we have enough here to where we can actually see what this is going to look like. So if we go back to Mannequins Rigs RTG Mannequin and open this up, we'll get back to this. Let me do that. So our target, we can now select IK Knight. And if we open up, let's just go down here to where we get to these like MM walk. You can kind of see how things are looking. We can also, let's see, let's set this to Quinn. Okay. So we'll ignore the cloth clipping right now because we haven't done any cloth simulations, but you can kind of see how this is looking. One thing that we should do though is click up here on running retarget and stop so we can kind of see what the retarget pose is. And one of the things that you'll notice is that the Quinn pose has her arms bent and her legs spread apart slightly. So what we can do is we can actually set our retarget pose. And the closer our retarget pose is to our source, the better our retarget will be. To do this, right here where it says showing retarget pose, we have these three dots. Go to Edit Retarget Pose. This will now allow us to take our joints and actually position them. So let's go ahead and move out the two thigh bones 10 degrees out, and then the feet 10 degrees in. Did I not skin that foot? Kind of seems like I maybe didn't. So I'll have to look into that. That is strange. Okay, and then the arms. Let's go ahead and do that. So that was about 30 degrees and 30 degrees. Okay, so there's our retarget pose. Let's go ahead and run retargeter. So her stride is pretty big right now. We can do a couple other things over here in chain mapping. The first thing we should do is actually just make sure all these things line up, right? So if any of these look off and they're going to the wrong thing, we can change it by setting them to the right thing. But everything there looks okay. One thing to be aware of is that our character's hands are posed differently. So we can either set the retarget pose to something more like that, which is probably the right thing to do, or we can just not map those things. But one of the things we're going to want to do, and I think I left out the pelvis. So back in our IK Knight, I'm assuming they put the pelvis in here. Let's double check. No, they did not. Okay. So one of the things that you can do as well is you can see up here the toggle retarget phases. If we turn off IK, we can actually see that the FK retarget looks pretty good by itself. I also did confirm that I forgot, either I forgot or I didn't save my work, but the feet are not skinned in this, so I'll have to go back and do that. I'm surprised it works as well as it does, to be honest. But as you can see, the IK actually having it off in a lot of ways looks a little bit better. Like on this does not. This is doing some stuff to the full body IK solver that's really pulling it in weird ways. And part of that could be that, we didn't set up these settings on the spine. So we could do that and just see if that helps. Yeah, it's interesting. The FK feels more natural to me, which we can totally just not do IK. You can, in global settings, you can just turn off enable IK. It's the same thing that you're doing up here. There's also some things like stride warping, but since we are disabling IK in this case, it doesn't matter. I think you would probably need to go through and also we're retargeting our spine from 5 bones to 3. That should be okay, but uh, I just think this is looking better. So we can go ahead and save this, and we can go ahead and save basically all of this. And let's go here to APB Quinn. And we can retarget animation assets and do duplicate and retarget. The IK retargeter will be the RTG mannequin that we set up, which you can see here. And we're going to change the folder from the default to night and then animations. And that should be good. Okay, so there we go. Let's take a look at this stuff. Great. And let's go ahead and hit save all. The last thing that we're going to do is go down to third person, blueprints, and open up BP third person character. This is the character that we are running around with in game right now. So you can see right now it's set to Quinn Simple. We're going to set that to our knight, and we're going to change the animation blueprint right here, APB Quinn C. We're going to change that to this one here. And you can see that she's animated, so hopefully this will just work. And let's play, see if we can do this. All right, cool. So, oh, what's going on there? I have a feeling that in her animation blueprint, if we go to the, oh, so this one inherits from APB Manny. So let's open up APB Manny. I have a feeling there's probably some stuff in here in the anim graph. So let's double click on that right here. Yeah. So this control rig is not set up on our character. So let's undo that. And let's double check and see if that worked. Okay, cool. So we can move around, we can jump. I need to skin those feet, so I'll do that in between videos here. But now we're at the part where now that we have some animations and we can play this thing, we could actually start getting some physics and cloth and things going, which will be the fun part. So I think that's what we'll work on next.